Good evening or afternoon. This is Georgia Peachcast coming to you from Cherokee County in Georgia. And this is our first one back after summer break. And we just want you to say hello and hope that you'll pick us up and move forward. Next week, on by Friday, we have a guest, Deborah Shigley, who is running for state senator in District 21, which in Georgia, that district is north of Holly Springs and Canton, and further north and somewhat east, almost all the way over to Alpharetta. So tune in next week if you're in that district specifically, and you can vote for Deborah. In the meantime, we weren't going to start tonight. We were going to start next week with Deborah, but because of the situations that have happened in the last few weeks, we thought it would be a good idea to kind of kick it off with a short one tonight. Um, Things that are going on. There's a lot of activity going on between the senators in Texas, Texas, and trying to eliminate some of do some more gerrymandering so they can pick up 5 House seats in the U.S. Congress. And California's Devin Newsom saying, "If you're going to play that game, game on." And I've got 9 against your 5, so that's like a full house, better than a 2 pair. And we're going to take care of that. Um, in the meantime, this is Pat,
And this is Greg.
and we've been complaining, and I've been complaining personally about the fact that we haven't had the pushback from the Democratic Party on the kind of junk that's been thrown out there for the American people and the legislators, and they have really not been doing that as far as I'm personally concerned, and a number of us on the street. In fact, I can honestly say that most of the low end Democrats on the street are been unhappy with the fact that they haven't seen the pushback from the leaders, the congressmen, the senators, um, which has started to take shape finally in the last week. So we have to be honest about that. We're happy to see that starting to happen. Needs to happen more. It's time to fight fire with fire.
Well, and it needs to happen fast because, you know, the clock is ticking on the midterms. And if you let this, just smolder too long and not really do anything about it, it's going to be too late.
Right.
And so, the legal processes that they have to go through to make these kind of things happen within their respective states, they take time. Okay. And in this, actually, I was hearing some news today that, this is where Newsom has a little bit of an advantage because in California, he doesn't actually have to pass that legislation. He actually has to get that legislation passed later. He has a little bit more of a grace period closer to the election to do this,
Oh, okay.
whereas Texas has to do it faster
Right now.
because of their laws in their state
Oh,
in order to
good.
buck the law that they are trying to buck, which is, oh, we shouldn't be redistricting. Although that's also not a law. That is a practice that they have normally done. So it's a procedure that they decided, okay, we're just going to do what's described in the U.S. Constitution, which is tie it to the census. Every 10 years, we do the redistricting because we have the freshest data, right? Well, they have software that can redraw maps. So,
Yes.
and this is the disadvantage,
Minutely, that's the problem. Now,
so minutely. And
yeah,
so, but in terms of the timeline, they're under a tighter timeline than
yeah.
many of the Democratic states.
And you're
So,
even beyond that. You're right. Also,
mhm,
the clock is ticking on the midterms.
yes.
Time
And
will
so, and
time will close in on us. Yeah,
it's ticking on us too. It's ticking on us as the electorate to
yeah,
get involved and make sure we tell every single day that we can, every single day of the week, if you can,
yeah.
take 5 minutes, call your congressman's office, your senator's office,
And push.
and give them a ration
Yeah,
over the phone, a polite ration, because if you start yelling and screaming and swearing, they're just not going to
yeah,
listen. But you should tell them what are the top 3 things that are really pissing you off and that are destructive to our
yeah.
country. And so. And that's where I'm looking forward to talking to Shigley about this
Yeah,
next week,
yeah.
to get into that.
And
So,
the other thing that I keep reminding people, okay, with all of the stories coming out and all of the conversations and sometimes junk that's coming out, don't be afraid. Not, in fact, I'm going to tell you, please go fact check, do it yourself. Don't say something that somebody said and you're just repeating it without checking it. If you got any doubt whatsoever that it's an accurate story, accurate information, check it out. Be sure that you do that. Then go ahead. If it's accurate, go to it because that's what I'm doing.
yep. And so, and that brings up a really good point. If we want to be the party of truth, we got to make sure that we're giving truth.
Yeah,
So, and that goes for independents too. I mean, people have listened to this. You might know that I lean a hell of a lot more independent than Democrat, especially on policy and fiscal matters. And so, it's not just about bringing Democrats into the fold. It's about reaching everybody because this is
everyone.
no longer a Democrat Republican thing. This is
Yeah,
an American thing.
it
Are
is.
we going to have a country based on laws and based on truth and based on um, a concept of relationships that allows us to run our country like civilized human beings instead of a bunch of
Yeah,
greedy animals. And that takes reaching out to your neighbors, reaching
yeah,
out to your family, reaching out to your friends, and using facts to make your arguments. And
yeah.
so that research component is really important.
Regardless of how
And,
bad things seem to feel at any given point in time, and in my case and a lot of other people's, that comes in waves during the day. It can happen 10 times a day. Good, and then bad, and then good, then bad. Just gotta, you know,
well, and that's part of their
stick with it.
strategy. Part of their strategy is to flood the zone with
Yeah,
ugliness, cruelty,
yeah,
and negativity,
yeah,
hoping that we get overwhelmed and we just give up.
yeah,
And that is part of the autocrat strategy. It's what Viktor Orban did, it's what Erdogan did, it's what Hitler did. And so this is nothing new under the sun.
no,
They're running the same playbook
yeah,
that other autocrats have played in the
yeah,
past. So, you know, stay energized, have hope, spend time with your friends and
yeah,
family, talk about things that are important and what you'd like to see
yeah,
your government doing, and then hit your senators and congressmen with
yeah.
that.
Absolutely. Don't
So,
don't whatever you do, don't go bury yourself in the sand. It's
well,
too important.
sometimes you need a break.
Yeah,
So if I could be in those hot sands and the sides of the volcanoes in Japan, buried up to my neck like I did in my 30s, yeah, I would like a hot soak
yeah,
in the sand like that.
yeah. That's a
That's rejuvenating.
short
But
term
then you
rejuvenate.
get up, you get out, and you get busy.
You got to rejuvenate
So
in a short periods of time, real
exactly.
quick. But
So
or start watching some crazy movie at
yeah.
9 o'clock at night before you go to bed and
All
put
right.
it
So
aside.
yes, you got to take time for yourself for sure.
Yeah,
Self-care it
yeah.
keeps you going.
No.
So what's one thing, Patrick, that you came across in the last week or two that really got your goat?
Well, it's again the fact that the news keeps coming out. In fact, last night apparently at the White House, two things happened yesterday that I heard about just recently. Okay, they had almost like a war room meeting on the what's his name's release of the records on the
Oh, on the Epstein files?
Epstein files.
Yeah.
Okay, he called in everybody, and then that's one thing. So they're not letting it go. They're afraid as hell. The other thing was he was walking on the roof of the White House last night or yesterday.
Yeah, he probably wants to add another
He
level
was
that's
walking
his
on.
personal
He
palace.
was walking on. Nobody knows why he was up there. He was shouting down to reporters down on the ground. Okay,
He wants to put a
I
nice balcony up there
I'm telling
so
you,
he could do the whole Tinbot Tick thing, speaking from
yeah.
the on high,
One of
like the Pope
one of the
doing
thi-
mass in the
yeah,
square.
one of the things that I've actually posted. He's People are starting to wonder about his mental conditions right now. And so I went back.
You mean they're just starting to realize it?
Well, yeah, but really some of them are. But I went back and looked at because somebody had said something about Alzheimer's being hereditary. You know what his father died of?
Alzheimer's or
Yes.
dementia? Yeah,
Yeah.
doesn't surprise me.
They say his father may have had dementia for as much as 7 years before it actually killed him.
Well, you know what? People don't know it, but they show signs of dementia years before they're actually
Right.
able to be
I
diagnosed.
know that.
And
And
so
I'm
it creeps up on you.
I know.
You know,
Well, I've had
what was that
personal
you said two
research.
seconds ago?
What's that?
I'm just kidding.
No, that's all right. That's all right. No, my actually,
So
what? Yeah, actually, I've been pretty close to that. Having knowing somebody that's been taking care of people. One person has already passed away.
yeah,
He's passed away, and then another one is on those early stages, but definitely
yeah.
she's showing signs of it.
So
So
I mean, there's no question if if uh, the Mandarin Mussolini DJT would allow himself to be honestly diagnosed, it'd be the 24th Amendment. I
yeah.
mean, let's face it.
Well,
Or 25th Amendment. My
yeah,
my apologies.
that's
It was a
okay.
really good summer break, people. So, that brings up a whole host of things, like this whole thing about, getting Greg Abbott to redistrict in the middle of the cycle, after 5 years instead of 10.
Yeah.
I mean, that is this is a really good point that I think everyone should realize. That is not a sign of strength. Some people might think, oh, his ability to call up Greg Abbott and get him to redistrict the state of Texas for him, that is strength. Actually, he's doing that because he's scared.
They are scared.
It is a sign of
The
weakness.
Scott, the,
They
yeah,
know that their polling, their honest internal polling is telling them that people are pissed
the
and they
no,
are holding them responsible for
the
what's going on in
the
our
numbers
country.
that came out yesterday, 80% across all demographics are against what he's been doing on immigration. And even the within the Republican, if you break it down, the Republicans in that group were running somewhere around 70%. But across all demographics, it's 80% of the American people are against what's being done in that. So they're running scared,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Yeah, who wants, here in Georgia, they're breaking ground on an $80 million detention facility right at the edge of the Okefenokee Swamp.
Yeah,
It's going to be our version of
yeah,
alligator opportunities
yeah.
here in Georgia.
Yep.
That's a great use for basically what's a national treasure, but is also more importantly a Georgia treasure. The Okefenokee is an incredibly unique ecosystem, and the last thing we need is a detention. The
Yeah,
biggest detention center
yeah.
in the United States is planned to be built there. And oh, by the way, my question is, Brian Kemp and Georgia Republicans, where are you in this? Why are you allowing that shit to go down?
I don't know. I haven't
And they
seen.
need to be held accountable in the next election cycle. So, this is not just about what's happening with Trump and the feds. And their administration. This is also about what's happening in our state.
Yes.
Are we going to allow that kind of cruelty to happen within the borders of our state?
Yeah.
And that's something that we as an electorate
In
can
fact,
decide.
that Nebraska town hall that we were talking about earlier.
Oh, that you
Okay,
got if you haven't watched that,
I
you
did.
you got to pull that
I
baby
was
up,
watch.
man.
I did watch it, and they were yelling. They were yelling about the about the detention camps
Yeah,
and the cost of that,
yeah,
and ask saying, what's going on, and I thinking about this after on the way up here, driving over here. Okay, that his comments were back standard comments, which got him in more trouble than anything else. Was the American people voted to get rid of all the undocumented, all of the ones that
illegal
were, yeah,
immigrants. Yeah,
and he specifically talked about again all of the criminals within the undocumented. And now that's the other number that's out there. 70% of the undocumented that have been picked up have no criminal record whatsoever.
yeah.
Okay?
Because this is something that polling shows time and time
Yeah.
again, and our listeners I'm sure they agree with this, is Democrats, when polled about should illegal aliens that are criminals or undocumented
Yeah.
people that are criminals
Nobody argues that, though.
be deported, the answer is like 95% yes. Should people who came here illegally, that are undocumented, who are contributing to their communities, who are not committing crimes, should they be deported? And the answer, by far and large, across all groups, including many Republicans, is no.
No, and that's the that's it.
It's
That's
only the
right.
far right, I'm trying to say this politely, the extreme wing of the right wing party, of which far too many have ascribed to their
Yeah.
views. And so,
Okay.
um, but that town hall, folks, if you haven't pulled that up and watched it and
Yeah.
listened to it, it is amazing. The cacophony of sound from the voices of people in that hall is drowning out practically the guy with the microphone. And it is. I've seen that guy before. He's done these town halls
Yeah.
before,
Yeah.
and it was never like that.
Yeah. No.
There were people that were shouting and from the audience and stuff, but that was like, uh,
Yeah.
you can understand why Republicans like our lovely Barry Loudermilk won't show up to a town hall meeting.
And
They're scared.
yep. And
Okay, they don't want to talk to their
yeah.
constituents, even though it's their
We'll be
job.
tomorrow afternoon. We'll be out in front of Larimer's office again,
Yep.
letting him know what we think about it.
So
All right.
find those news sources. Make sure the news you're listening to and watching on social media is reputable. One of my favorite podcasts to watch and listen to is the Bulwark, Bulwark. They're actually a bunch of independents and former Republicans that have been extremely upset, and they formed their own news network. Another one I listen to is Strict Scrutiny, which is three law professors, all women, who report on the craziness that's going on in the Supreme Court. And if you don't know what's going on in the Supreme Court, they drop that pod every Monday, and it's an education. You can listen to
Yeah.
it 15 minutes a day all week because it's about an hour and
And
sometimes an hour and a half long. But it is an education in what's going on
yeah.
with our Supreme
And
Court.
one of my favorite ones is
So,
Heather Cox Richardson in
mm-hmm. She rocks.
Letters from an American.
Yep.
So that's those are good ones to do that, and they will have already everything they're going to talk about. They have already fact checked it. They are certainly those are very premier podcasts
Yep.
that you can take it for granted. Whatever they telling you, they've already double checked, and they're not going to give any. There's not going to be any rumors or falsehoods coming out of those three podcasts.
Yep.
Oh,
So let's see. We got anything else?
no,
I think that's it.
we're gonna make it short tonight. As I said, we weren't originally going to have one tonight. Uh, we were just as a lead in into next week, and it is an important one because the Deborah's that election is early voting has already started for that district, and it wraps up, I believe, on the 26th of this month. Yeah, so I think that's the end of it, but it's already started.
So if
And
you lived in District 21, get out there and talk to your neighbors. Tell them
and
about Deborah, and we'll put another plug for that next week. But it's coming up
yeah,
fast.
and listen to her next week in case you need to not know what she's for and where she's coming from. She's really incredible. Again, a lawyer, mother of five, business owner, uh, type of person we would want to be in the state senate for this state for us. So,
All right.
okay,
Well, this is Greg,
talk to you next week.
and that's Pat. And y'all have a good, safe week out there.